You're welcome to. Yeah.
Joe, you were ready that time. You were ready.
I joked. It was like a. All right. I'm ready for real. I was ready. I've been ready for real for 7 times. Hi, everyone, and welcome to Off the Cuff. I am Joy Winchester, the resident neuro nerd, and this is my good friend AB.
It's so good to be here. Joy, it's always great to share space with you. I learn so much when I'm around you. I learn so much from our audience out there, and I'm so excited about today's subject. It's going to be a good one.
Before we jump in, why don't you remind them what they have to do?
Hey, we probably want to like, subscribe, and do all the things that social media wants us to do. You know, we're usually against we're kind of rebels or whatever, but we probably do want you to like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to. If there's something you think we should add, hey, leave a comment. We love to read it.
There you go. And today we're going to talk about keeping your head in the game. Today we're going to talk about how your negative core beliefs or how negative beliefs can sometimes sabotage us. You know, we like to call them ants, automatic negative thoughts. And these ants can actually create for us failure before we even try. You know, I think about stories that you hear about kids who already know they can't do something, so of course they can. I mean, AB, you were telling me just earlier today, if you don't think you can, you can't, or something like that. I'm sure you said it a lot more eloquently because you always speak from the heart so much better than me.
Well, Joy, I do think that you almost have to agree with someone because working with young people for years, I've realized something, and it's very similar to working with adults. One thing that I haven't seen a solution for is a made up mind. You can want something for someone so much, and you can want something for them more than they do. Unfortunately, they're still in charge of their decision making. And that's exactly what I meant by if it's what you feel or what you think, the majority of the time, that kind of is the direction that you usually take.
100%. And what's really great about ants, or at least what's good about them, is they're usually pretty quick. They're temporary. Like if you feel one coming on, you can stamp it out. In fact, when I work with kids, I'll say, "Oh, that's an ant. Stamp it out." Because it's a good way of understanding that your brain is wired for survival. So it's going to look for the negative. Now, we want to survive. So when's it a bad thing? Well, it's a bad thing when they're rooted in these harmful core beliefs that can actually lead to things like difficulty trusting people, anxiety, depression, aggression, low self-esteem, feeling unworthy. And Anthony, I know your work with a lot of the teens you work with, you probably see this manifested in their behaviors and also in how they even see their futures. Do they even believe that they're capable of the great things you think they're capable of? But that's one thing that we can think about is how a lot of times our teens may, and the kids I work with, may have these negative beliefs that are sabotaging positive trajectories. Hey, you got a minute? Because that's all the average American has is 1 minute. Our attention spans are so short that we really don't have time to focus on anything else. But here's what's crazy. We know more about how our cell phones work than our brains work. But who has time to dive deep into neuroscience? You do. 1 minute a day. Dive in. Just, hey, you got a minute. Neuro Minutes to Microdose Neuroscience. Grab a copy. Change your life 1 minute a day.
And go and get the book. It's awesome. Absolutely, absolutely. When you were talking, I'm reminded of this story that I was told once about this Cherokee Indian chief who was walking along a path, and he was walking with his grandson, and he expressed to his grandson, within us, every man, there are two wolves. There's a good wolf and there's an evil wolf. Of course, the good represents, joy, wisdom, understanding, love, even empathy. But then there's that evil wolf that represents harm, represents jealousy, ego, even. It lies and and mischief, things like that. And at the end, I remember the story, the grandchild asked his grandfather, "So tell me, grandfather, which wolf wins?" And the grandfather, of course, expressed that the one that wins is the one you feed. So when you're talking about those negative beliefs, when we feed those negative beliefs, when we're around atmospheres and environments where those negative beliefs are encouraged and even looked at as a good thing many times, that's one of the areas we need to try to get away from.
They can be centered on yourself, like I'm lazy, I'm not smart. They
Mhm.
can be centered on others, like people will always leave. No one can be trusted. And then they can just be centered on life in general, like the world is not safe or life is unfair. So you can have these categories. And what's interesting about negative core beliefs is we have positive core beliefs, but our negative core beliefs scream and yell, and our positive core beliefs whisper. And so for a lot of people, these negative core beliefs will actually start when they're kids. They actually start in childhood. And it can come from people saying, you're lazy. Well, when the brain hears you're lazy, it takes you talk and translates it to I talk. You're lazy. I'm lazy. You're rude. I'm rude. And when you hear this enough, it programs on your brain these negative thoughts. And then you spend your life either trying to disprove them or hunting for proof that they're true. So I was a terrible student in school. Uh, I was terrible, not even gonna lie. And the teacher said, I was told quite a bit, you're lazy. So to this day, I will let things slip out of my mouth and I'll say, well, you know, I'm lazy. Well, you know, I'm lazy. Well, I'm actually a workaholic to the point of health detriment because I'm constantly trying to prove to some invisible person that I'm not lazy. And I think that is where we have to see where we can actually develop detrimental behaviors that is trying to just push us away from these negative core beliefs. The more negative beliefs we have, the more ants we have, the more automatic negative thoughts. And that's where we have to help our students and our kids switch. We turn the volume up on those positive beliefs. So why don't we use brain science? You're lazy. Don't say that. You're brilliant. I'm brilliant. You're hardworking. I'm hardworking. You're kind. I'm kind. And we can actually rewrite for our younger kids and teens some of those negative thoughts.
My favorite book says, "So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." And many times we're told, I think that instead of you are what you eat, you really are what you think. If you think those things long enough, I think that they become a part of who you are. So we're in the business of changing mindsets. We're in the business of changing perspectives. We're in the business of changing perceptions of various things. We want positive thoughts so that we can get positive outcomes. And sometimes that's very challenging. I want to encourage those who work with young people, who are those youth advocates, that this is not a immediate thing. This is not always something that happens overnight. As a matter of fact, I can count on one hand where it did. Most of the time, this is the long road. And that's why we're here for those frontliners, those who are trying to make this happen on a daily basis. I want you to know it may not be the concepts that we talk about are very simple, but sometimes people think that simple is easy, and it's not. It's very challenging. The simple is, hey, we'll just teach them to act right, and it'll happen. And sometimes it's not that easy. So the processes that work for your individual case is really what we're trying to get at. And so hopefully we can give you some of these tools and you're able to pull out some of this stuff. We want to give you a buffet. Joy's going to give you that brain stuff, that mind stuff, and the difference of the two. And I'm going to try my best to come with the experience of actually working on the front lines and working with young people and continuing to learn from those young people.
But as always, we want you to be kind.
Be curious.
And keep showing up. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Brooks, I wrote a book. Go check it out. Now, the book is called How to Eat an Elephant. And the old adage, of course, is one bite at a time. It's a book about young people and how to work with youth of today. But it's more about you, the adult, the person that cares for the young person, the advocate, the person that works with young people all the time. I want you to check it out.
Finally, a book written by someone who's walked the walk and not only talks the talk. Real talk. Deuces.